us, Hyeyu, where in see, you like Thailand best. What is so for those of us who are from North and South America who have never been to Asia? Tell us, what is Thailand like?
Yes, in Thailand, I like best is the sea in Pattaya. The sea in Pattaya is very natural and very clean. And
Okay.
in there, yes, in there, Thailand people have many games, very interesting and exciting.
Uh-huh. So
Yes,
the Thai people are interesting. Okay.
yes.
All right. All right. And Simone, how about you? How often do you travel?
Always. I love
Always.
traveling.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, traveling is nowadays is my life. So I practically only
Uh-huh.
work with traveling. I am saving
Uh-huh.
money all the time
Uh-huh.
to do bigger travel around for 1 year, 2 years, I don't know. I've made this once. I spent 1 year traveling,
Uh-huh.
and I can tell you it's an amazing experience. It was the
Uh-huh.
best thing I did in my life.
Wow. So
I love traveling.
you took a gap year just to travel
Yes, I did.
around?
Yes, I did. And it was
Oh.
the best decision ever. Actually, it's a pity that I can't travel a lot here within Brazil because it's very expensive. Brazil
Mm-hmm.
is amazing, it's beautiful, but it's absolutely expensive. Sometimes it's much more cheaper go to Argentina, Chile, South America in general, than travel inside within Brazil. That's a shame because Brazil is amazing. I like to travel to all the states, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
possible sometimes.
Yeah. So did you get to all the continents during your gap year, or where
Not at
exactly did you get?
all. Not at all. Only Europe because once you are in European country, it's absolutely cheap to travel around.
Uh-huh.
So I did this, and I am willing to do again. Actually,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to do it again. Next month, I'm going to start my trip
Oh,
again.
really? So, question for you, just out of curiosity.
Okay.
And you don't have to answer, but ballpark figure would be nice. How much does a person need to take a gap year? How much money to travel?
It depends on the person.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I know how to save money,
Oh, okay.
and
So you.
and I traveled to hostels, but
Mhm.
I found out that I was spending a lot of money because now my plan is to stay in couch
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 surfing.
surfing, yeah,
Mhm.
to take a ride, something like that.
Mhm.
I'm planning to spend even less this time. So it's
Okay.
not that much, depends on
Uh-huh.
you.
Okay. So you're a frugal traveler anyway, and then you
Yeah.
also couch surf. Wow. Okay. All right. So Wellington, how about you? How often do you travel?
Um, Abroad, one time per year or
Mhm.
2 years because I went to United States 2 times, but
Mhm.
in 11 in 12 13 and 12 14
Uh-huh.
I travel inside Brazil here.
Okay.
I, I
You
travel
travel a
here.
lot inside Brazil. You do a lot more domestic traveling than you do international.
No, no, no. My father-in-law lives
Uh-huh.
in the living far from us,
Uh-huh.
So always I need to go to there.
Yeah.
And because this I
Please the
spend
wife.
yes, I spend a lot of money go there, and I sometimes I don't have other
Uh-huh.
opportunities to go to other cities, other places here in Brazil.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so you basically do the family trips. That's kind of what I do. Now that I am back in the States and back near my family, um, we I don't travel as much as I did when I lived abroad. When I was in Europe, I traveled at least once or twice a year to somewhere else, to another country. And now I'm lucky to take a 5-hour road trip to see
Yeah.
family or something like that. So maybe I will change later, but right now. So anyway, and Anna Carlina, you asked what frugal means. Frugal is being very, very careful with your money, where like couch surfing is frugal. Instead of going to stay at an expensive hotel, you choose to stay at someone's home for free. So that is what frugal means. So, all right. Let's go on. So, how often do you wake up? Oh, David, wait a minute. We haven't had you answer the first question. Welcome, David from Colombia. So,
Hi, Holly. How are
hello.
you doing?
Very good. So, David, how often do you travel?
Not too much, Holly. I travel just inside my country.
Uh-huh. Okay. And is it normally to see family or is it for other things?
No, most of my family live in my natal city, so
Uh-huh.
it's just for known other places and
Uh-huh.
have fun in general.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
So when would decide to go down to South America, you can tell me where to go in Colombia.
Oh, sure. I will
Okay.
recommend you
Oh,
great
excellent.
places.
Excellent. If I ever get outside of the US, I don't even have a valid passport anymore, so it's like, what? So,
Yes, but you don't need visa and those kind of thing.
yeah, I need a passport for
Just the passport.
yeah, for most of the countries in South America, if you go for a short period, like less than 3 months, then you only need a passport. So anyway, let's go on. So how often do you wake up in the middle of the night? So let's start with um, Wellington. How often do you wake up in the middle of the night? Or do you?
I don't wake up in the middle of the night because I usually went to sleep late, very late.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're a night owl. So,
Yes, yes. Always an average. I go to sleep 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Sorry, 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
uh-huh.
But because this, I I don't wake up.
Okay. Yeah. It's like me, last night I took cold medicine, so I definitely didn't wake up. So, um, hey, how about you? How often do you wake up in the middle of the night?
Just normally I don't wake up in the middle of night, but some day or sometime when I have many work or I have a press in the working day, I often wake up 1 or 2 times in the middle of the night.
Okay, so instead of saying I have pressure or press, but and sometimes when I am stressed. So
Yes,
so when
thank you.
I am stressed, I
Yes,
wake up in the middle of the night. Yes,
yes.
but it's not very often. Okay. And Carlos, how about you? When do you wake up in the middle of the night?
Actually, not often, but sometimes when I decide to work out at night,
Uh-huh.
and and when it happens, sometimes I wake in the middle of the night, sweating and feeling hot, and I need to tweak the AC to come back to a good sleep again.
So is it better to work out in the morning or at night?
For me, from in the morning, I think it's very personal, but for
Oh.
me, it works better in the morning.
Okay. So there isn't any specific rule for that, though. Okay. All right. And thank you. Ana Paolo, how about you? How often do you wake up in the middle of the night?
Oh, Holly, I never wake up in the middle of the night because, like Wellington, I usually go bed
Go to bed?
late.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, to go to bed late,
Uh-huh.
approximately 11 p.m. or midnight, and then after beside that I sleep so good every night. So
Uh-huh.
I don't have
Okay.
this problem.
Yeah. Now I personally think 11 p.m. and midnight is early, but but it is
Yeah.
late. So
Uh-huh.
I'm just joking. So all right, Simone, how about you? How often do you wake up in the middle of the night?
Never,
Never.
actually. Yeah, no, only sometimes when I am sleeping in a very, very cold room, I can
Uh-huh.
like get up once to go to the bathroom, but as I live in a very, very hot place,
Uh-huh.
so I never do it. It's always hot, so I don't need to go to the bathroom in the night, so I usually sleep until the morning without problems.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
I've got deep, deep dreams. That's strange, very deep.
Uh, okay. Okay. You have your sleep, your deep sleeper. Okay. All right. And
Yeah.
David, how about you? How often do you wake up in the middle of the night?
Yes, Holly is very rarely, because I think that I have some habits in the night. I used to, I no sorry, I work out
Uh-huh.
some days in the night, and the other days I do my homeworks. So I think that I get very tired, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't woke up in the night.
Okay. Now, the word tired, it's like tired, but we would say tired.
Yes,
Tired.
tired, tired,
Tired. No.
tired.
So it's kind of like I'm gonna write it in the chat with square brackets. It's kind of like tired. So
Tired.
basically, let me sit in square brackets. Tired, like that. So all right. So instead of erd. So all right,
Okay.
Kako, how about you? How often do you wake up in the middle of the night?
I rarely wake up in the middle of night, even
Mm-hmm.
though I am more and all than a lark. I I sleep well. I generally sleep well, teacher.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so yeah, okay. And how about Anna Carolina? How often do you wake up in the middle of the night?
I have my travel tendencies, but I go to bed very late,
Uh-huh.
and I have to wake up early in the
Uh-huh.
morning. So if just from time to time I wake
Okay.
up.
Okay, so not very often. It's interesting because my sister has twin boys and they're 5 years old, and one of them, since he was a baby, he wakes up about every 3 hours. Um, and now he's 5, and so now he'll just get up and go find mom and dad. But he's always done that. Where his twin brother, once his twin brother is asleep, he stays asleep and he doesn't wake up again until the next morning. So it's interesting how people are different. So next one, I don't want to do that one. We're gonna move on. Um, Oh, this one's a cultural difference right here. Of course, a lot of you are from Brazil, so it might be similar, but it might be family differences as well. In my family, I learned, my family, we will say to each other, I love you quite often. My dad would say it every time he talked to me on the phone. Holly, just to let you know, I love you. And it's very, very common in the American culture for us to say that. But I've learned through my teaching and through living abroad that this is not very common for a lot of cultures and a lot of families. So how about in your family and in your culture? How often do you say I love you to your family members? Ana Carolina.
Okay, I have children,
Uh-huh.
and I say often, but I avoid to realizing this phrase, because if you say very, very often, then no one would pay attention.
Uh-huh.
And it has to come from our heart. It has to be honesty.
Uh-huh. Okay. So you have to say it. You say it, but you have to be very careful about how often you say it. So, okay. And how about Kako? How about you? How often do you say I love you to your family?
I say occasionally.
Uh-huh.
When I am touched emotionally, when I feel, as Carolina said, when it comes from my heart, I tell to them that I love them.
Uh-huh. Okay. But otherwise
not so frequently
Uh-huh.
as should be. Yeah?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
As it should be.
Yeah. All right, thank you. All right, David, how about you? How often do you say I love you to your family?
Well, Holly, it's not very often actually. Because I think I am not very accustomed to say I love you, but I think that I don't have to say it because I show them that I love them with my actions, with my behavior.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, so you don't have to actually you say it with other things but not with words. Okay? Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Simone, how about you? How often do you say I love you to your family?
In the past, I was not used to say a lot. I don't know why. But then after we lost our father, we got more emotional, and nowadays you say a lot all the time actually, because I think I can lose the opportunity to say it all the time. So I just text my sister and say, hey, I love you. Just to let her know, but it's good to say. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Yeah, because I think it really does make a difference. After losing a family member, that does make a difference for the rest of the family members. But we don't say it as much now that my dad's passed away, so it's the other way around in my family. But Ana Paula, how about in with you? How often do you say I love you to your family?
I don't know exactly how often. I know that I don't say every day because in my house I live just with my daughter. So when she's traveling, and I say every day or 3 or 4 times per day by cell phone or by message, because but and when we are home together, Probably I have to say 2 times a week, for example. I don't know exactly.
So you voice it more often than a lot of people do then. So
Yeah.
all right. And Carlos, how about you? How often do you say I love you to your family?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah, for my kids, I have 2 kids, and I learn to speak that I love you, because it's so difficult to hear nowadays. Anyone has the enough time to hold a conversation,
Yeah.
and also you have to enjoy this time with your relatives.
All right. Thank you. And Hieyu, how about you? How often do you say I love you to your family?
Yes. In the past, I have never said I love you to my family because in my country, yes, in the something the strength something, and in my country they never or not often to say I love you. But now uh, when I grew up and reach more, and uh, I learned the another culture, learn the advantage from another culture. I think I should say I love you, and but very difficult to me to open the mouth and say I love you to my family. However, I try to practice at least one time per month, and I hear yes, it is because of my culture. They not yes.
Yeah. So, but in your culture, is your culture very similar to what David said? You still say it, but not through your voice, but say it maybe in the way you act and behavior and so forth. So, because keep in mind, almost all this class is from the same country except for you and David. So, and Wellington, how about in your family? Do you say I love you to your family, or how often do you say I love you to your family?
No, I don't. I didn't. I don't was raised.
I was never raised.
I
or I
was
was
no
not.
in the same. I was not raised in the same way, saying I love you, I love you. But with the time, my mother began say this. For me, it's very strange because and in the other way, I sometimes I want to say, but I must she is very sentimental, and she's very sentimental, and my my brothers explore her. And I try to pass I try to pass to her that he must she must be fierce, she must be hard with them. So I don't say I love to her.
Okay.
But I act. I do things that I think is very valuable for her.
Yeah. And
do you understand me?
I totally understand. Yeah, it's interesting because my mom, my dad has always been very open, and he's always said I love you. And my mom doesn't say it near as much as my dad did. And she told us a story when I was really small, and I always remember it, where she came home from somewhere, school or church or something, and she wanted to tell my grandma that she loved her. And my grandma was just, she was the kind of lady, she was just not very open emotionally. And she tried to tell my grandmother that, Mom, I love you, and she couldn't. She just started to cry. And that was just how some families are. And it was interesting because as she was explaining how her family was just very closed and they just did not say that, but it was obvious to me that Grandma loved us all, even though she never said it. And because it's always through there's lots of ways to say I love you, but it's interesting how in some families, and it sounds to me like in Brazil, a lot more families are more open, and it's very important to speak. And a question for you, David, you said that in your family you don't say I love you much. Is it fairly common maybe in the Spanish or the Colombian culture not to say I love you? David, are you there?
Yes, sorry,
Okay.
sorry. I couldn't hear you, Holly. Could you
You can't
repeat
hear
the
me?
question?
Yeah, the
No.
question is, most of the class is from Brazil, and
Mhm.
I would say 80% of the Brazilians said yes when I say I love you. Then Hie is from Vietnam, and she said no. In my culture, we just don't say this. And you said that you don't say I love you in your family. Is it because of your
Mm,
culture, or is it a cultural thing or a family thing?
I think that is neither of them. I think
Uh-huh.
is for my personality, maybe I am.
Mhm.
It's difficult to me to open my emotions and feelings,
Uh-huh.
and because maybe I am shy, so it's not easy to me say I love you.
Mhm. Okay.
But yes,
Uh-huh.
yes, I think
All right.
so.
Yeah, so it's a personal thing because a lot of times you have to consider there's some things that are cultural and some are definitely personal. Yeah, personal or family regard. So, all
Mhm.
right. How often do you study from your or a English textbook? So, we're all adults now, right? So, do you guys actually have an English textbook, and how often do you study from it? So, let's start with Carlos. How often do you study from your English textbook or an English textbook?
Well, teacher, um, very few times, and most of my time I study English using my ears instead of eyes. So,
Awesome. Uh-huh. Do you listen to podcasts at all?
podcasts is in YouTube videos and
Uh-huh.
things like that.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So yeah, because and that's a great way to study because it depends on your learning style. So awesome. All right, David, how about you? How often do you study from your or an English textbook?
Just only in the past, I used to focus a lot in the grammar, in the structure, in the vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, I think that for me, it's more important to improve my speaking skills
Mm-hmm.
and my pronunciation. So most of the time, I study just here in Berlin and
Uh-huh.
nothing more.
Uh-huh. So it's more. So you're at the point in your English studies, to
Uh-huh.
quote one of my first students when I moved to Finland.
Hmm.
She said, "Holly, I have studied English for 20 years. I'm tired of studying English. I want to use it."
Yes, sure. I
Yeah.
agree.
Okay. Yeah, and that kind of formed the way I started teaching as well. So, Kako, how about you? How often do you study from your English textbook?
Holly, even though I have a complete collection by Cambridge,
Uh-huh.
I don't consult it frequently. I I always consult Merriam-Webster dictionary, and I watch TED talks and listening to ESL podcasts. It's my way to practice. Besides attending to the verbling classes.
Awesome. Okay. Excellent. And Hieyu, how about you? How often do you study from your English textbook?
Yes, in my high school, I study English 3 years, and normally I study from my textbook because at that time in my village no have internet, no have the another reference, and I must use my textbook and learn on grammar, learn vocabulary, but I never speak English with another person. And yes, and then I went to university. First in my university, I learned French, and I forget on English. And but nowadays, I work with the American company, and I should learn English, and I change my ways. I often went to the internet and practice and improve speaking skills. But besides that, I try to learn vocabulary from textbook, but not often.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Now, as far as a few little errors there. One thing you said when you were in high school, there was no. You said no internet, no technology. You would say we didn't have. You said no have. Yeah, so remember, we didn't have, and then also. When you started to study French, you forgot your English, and do you remember yesterday? I think you were in that class where, were you in the class where the German lady said that when she started to study Greek, she forgot her English? Were you? I think you laughed. So, yeah, awesome. All right, and Ana Paula. How about you? How often do you study from your English textbook?
Holly, I try to study or open my textbooks at least once a week, but it is very difficult for me. For example, during these days, I prefer spend 1 hour or 2 hours in verbally, then open my book because I need to improve my lesson and of course my speaking because it is too bad.
So you improve your listening and speaking, and then you also go through and study as well. Okay, excellent. Yeah. And do you think that since you have started here on Verbling that you have improved your speaking skills?
Sure. Especially my listen, because I am, because I am too bad to listen, including in Portuguese sometimes. If I hear a song, for example, for me it's not too easy to understand some words. Then English is worse than. So verbling is helped me a lot.
Yeah, well, I have noticed personally, Ana Paula, since your first class and in my class, that you have improved your listening. It's because at first you didn't understand me. Yeah.
I was there.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah. I have noticed that.
Thank you.
At first you did not understand.
Oh, nice.
And you're not the
Uh,
only person I've
Ah,
noticed. So, Wellington, you
uh,
remember?
okay.
yes, yes. I think it was one Sunday, and
Uh-huh.
and and I was there.
Thank you, Wellington.
Yeah, yeah,
I go to my bed very happy to tonight.
yeah. Good, good. All right, Simone,
Yes,
how
thank
about you?
you.
Simone, how about you? How often do you study your English textbook?
Never.
Never.
Yeah, no, actually, in the past, when I was in like common English classes here in Brazil,
Uh-huh.
I had books, but actually it was only for nothing because I'd rather, watch movies and things like that.
Uh-huh.
But actually, I had to study from books once during 2 weeks because I was going to do Cambridge exam,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to do a lot of exercises because these kinds of exams are not about English, are about a format. So you
Yeah,
have
and
to
they're
be
about
aware
uh-huh.
about the format, and then I had to stay like 2 weeks studying
Mm-hmm.
um, all day long, and I passed it. So that was
Yeah, and
nice.
you study. I'm like you guys are all very active on the chat, which is great. So are you the one that said you took the IELTS?
No, I took the
Oh,
Cambridge exam.
Cambridge. Okay,
Yeah.
Cambridge. Somebody else said that they took the IELTS. I think I don't know because I'm only halfway reading what you guys are
Carlos.
talking about. I just want to know
Carlos.
who said something about I would kiss him. No, I wish I could kiss him. Who are you
No,
talking about?
about Leonardo DiCaprio because when I
Oh,
was in London, I could work for him. I was working in a party.
uh-huh,
Uh, it's BAFTA. BAFTA. It's like Oscar, but it's
uh-huh,
for British movies and things like that. And I
uh-huh.
was there working, serving people, and at my table was Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, okay.
Hmm,
Because I was
nice.
like, I looked over. I have not been watching the chat, and I looked over. It says, "I wish I could kiss him," and I'm like, "What?"
Yes, I wish I could. I was like staring at him, and I was thinking, oh, you're better in person. You
So,
really
so
are.
he better in person?
Absolutely. He's much better in person.
Okay, that's
I
good to
was
know.
like, yes,
Class.
because I thought
Let's
he
go to
has
the
a big
class,
head.
Simone.
That's
Simone, let's
funny.
go to
You,
the class.
you're jealous, Valentine, you're jealous.
So, Anna Carolina, how about you? How often do you study from your English textbook?
I used to study twice per week because
Uh-huh.
I was taking a face-to-face course.
Uh-huh. And the teacher gave you homework from the
Yes,
book? Mm-hmm.
yes, a book and some handouts.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
I quit
Oh,
because
okay. So,
I closed the course.
uh-huh. So now are you at the point where you want to study, you want to stop studying and you want to start using the language?
Yes,
Yeah.
I no now I will take an
Online
online
class.
course
Okay.
instead.
Awesome.
Yes,
All right. Awesome. And okay, in Wellington, how about you? How often do you study from your English textbook?
Textbooks. I usually study articles. I listen a lot to podcasts from
Mm-hmm.
TED and other things. But and I have two private teachers, and they sent me articles,
Mm-hmm.
and I this way I study English.
Mm-hmm.
And
All right.
today we have a lot of different materials to study,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I usually, in general, I listen podcasts
Mm-hmm.
and I read articles.
Mm-hmm. Now, a question for you guys, for everybody in the class. I'm sure all of you have your favorite ESL website or website to study English besides Verbling, and not live lessons, but what lessons? What are there any really good websites that you go to for podcasts and for to study grammar on your own? Anybody have any suggestions for everybody else?
I can.
Yeah.
TED is a good.
TED Talks.
TED Talks. TED Talks is
Uh-huh.
a good platform to listen podcasts because there we have a lot of different materials, news, interesting things, and there you find the subtitles in English and maybe in different languages. So I think is a good. I think the best platform to find the different news articles.
All right. And so could you guys write down so TED Talks is one, so could you guys write down some of the different ones for your colleagues? So Kako, you wrote down eslpodcast.com. Could you tell us about it?
Yes, teacher. I discovered it recently, and I observed, and I could download some podcasts and listen to them. They are developed by two professors, two American professors who are doctors in linguistics. The podcasts are structured in a short dialogue, and then a dialogue during longing about 3 minutes, and then a detailed explanation during about 15 to 20 minutes. And then the dialogue is repeated in a higher speed. It can be. I suggest all of you to download the app on the Google Store, by the Google Store. It is very nice. I think you will like it.
All right. Thank you. And Simona, you wrote about All Ears English, and I've heard about that from other people. Could you tell us about it?
Yes, there are two teachers, American teachers, and they talk every week about a topic. Usually they talk about how you can overcome your fears when it comes to speaking English. They also teach us the best ways to learn, where to practice, and also they talk a lot about IELTS and about the techniques you have to learn in order to pass it. They are very about it, and when I'm driving my car, I am listening to them. They are really nice. They are like friends.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Okay. All right. It looks like we're out of time now. I want to thank you all for your participation. I hope you got a chance to practice speaking, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening or day or night. I guess for many of you it's quite late. So thank you very much. See you all later.
Teacher, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
when I arrived the classroom, it was
Bye bye.
written that
Bye,
it's
Valentine. Bye,
forbidden
people.
to share websites.
Thank you, Holly. Bye.